welcome to FLT Sports. We are here with FLT Sports, all things sports, and week 3 is underway.
Yeah, so at time, today is Saturday. Tomorrow, week 2, the rest of week 2 is going to fire off. By the time you see this video, though, we'll be looking ahead just to week 3.
Right.
So NFL season is upon us.
So that's why, with that being said, we're going to do our picks for week 3 with the spread. Last week we did without the spread, but we decided we're going to start doing the spread. No overs and unders. We don't even have those yet. That's not even out yet, so we're not going to do that. And then after that, we're going to get into the Baltimore Ravens depth chart and run that down.
Nice. So, yeah, for the rest of the year, we're going to switch it up, and we're going to do with the spread.
Yep.
So, all right, you want to jump into our week 3 picks. First game for week 3, Thursday night, Miami at Jacksonville. I took Jacksonville -1.5.
So did I. So we're going to agree on that, and we're going to keep moving, and we're going to talk about the games that are the big games and the ones we disagree with.
Okay.
So that game is kind of like a Next game is Chicago and Atlanta. At Atlanta, -3 for Atlanta. What do you got?
I took Atlanta -3.
I got Chicago.
So you got Chicago +3.
Let's put that on the board, baby.
So you got Chicago +3.
Chicago +3.
Yeah.
I'm big on Chicago this year. I think that the pieces that have been in place for the past couple of years are going to actually align, and I think their window has begun for Chicago to be a force in the NFC. So I got that win right there on the road.
I'm just like mixed on Chicago. Like I like some of their players. Like I love Mac. I love, Akeem Hicks.
Yeah.
I love Allen Robinson. Like they have a lot of nice pieces, but I do have question marks in a couple of big spots, especially quarterback.
Well, if you go back 2 years ago when they were a healthy team, they were one of the strongest competitors in the NFC. Went deep into the playoffs, conference finals, or is it the divisional? One of they fell off in the playoffs, but they went far. And their defense was amazing, probably the best that year.
Yeah.
Last year they got banged up, and as a result of that, their defense took a step back. But they're back in action. Mac, Roquan Smith. This is a team that's going to really show us what a good defensive team with.
Yeah, last year they had some injuries
coaching
for sure on defense, but the biggest thing that held them back was Trubisky.
Yeah,
that's why they brought Nick Foles.
Well, yeah,
but then Trubisky won the job. I mean, they traded up to number 2.
I knew that he was going to have some growing pains, but I think he's getting there.
Well, they traded up to number 2 to take Trubisky, so they're not willing to hand the reins over to Foles just yet.
Yeah, so he looked good in week 1, though. He did.
Yeah,
he had a good week 1.
Well, they were actually losing. He got a couple touchdowns late in the game to bring them back.
That's what a good quarterback does.
No, I know. Yeah, but
so he looked good. I think he's going to continue doing that. I think Chicago.
I just wouldn't be surprised if Foles is the starter at some point this year. That's all I'm saying. We'll see what happens.
I don't see that at all.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So
Los Angeles at Buffalo.
I took LA +3.
So did I.
Yeah. I wanted to take the Bills, live in Buffalo. The Bills are my second favorite team.
I'm actually going to switch
I just took the points.
I want not because of you. I just decided I think they're going to win that game at home. Okay. And I think they're going to cover the spread too. I think they win by 6. So I switched to Buffalo.
Taking Buffalo -3.
-3. And then part of the reason why I did want to go against you. Since it's Buffalo, and since I was on a coin toss already,
we make our picks separately so we don't influence each other.
Go Bills!
All right, next game, Washington at Cleveland. I took Washington in the points.
Good,
+5.5.
I took Cleveland.
So you took
Cleveland
-5.5.
3 disagreements right there.
Okay. Next, I took.
Well, let's get in this. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Cleveland they look good. They look great on Monday night.
Well, they looked awful in week 1, and they looked good on Thursday night.
Week 1, you're right.
Week 2, they looked good.
But I'm talking about. Maybe not what they look like. I'm talking about what they are, who they have on paper. They are a stacked football team. They really are. It's really not about Baker Mayfield, how he plays, because they have all the pieces in place. Week 1, their defense didn't do as good as it should have, but
yeah, I mean,
they are a good team.
Even week 2, though, that was a close game, and they were playing the Bengals.
Yeah, that's a lot of points to give to Washington, so I can see why you made that pick.
So that was one of those toss-up games, so I said, you know what, I'm going to take the points.
Yeah,
because I think it's going to be a close game either way, and I think it's they're neither of them are great teams.
Yeah,
Cleveland's great on paper, but the games aren't played on paper, and Cleveland always seems to screw things up.
Okay,
so it's just one of those things, and I actually thought on Thursday night with the Bengals in Cleveland, I actually thought Burrows looked like the better quarterback.
Yeah, he was shaky in some plays.
He threw 61 passes.
Yeah.
Baker, they had the kid gloves on with him. They just ran the ball. He only threw 23 times.
But he didn't look
That's
bad,
a big difference because he only threw 23 times. So it's just one of those things.
That's their game plan.
Yeah.
They have a heavy running team.
Of course.
So I think that's going to happen going forward.
So our next game is Tennessee at Minnesota.
I took Minnesota.
So did I.
Okay.
So Minnesota +1. Next game is my Las Vegas Raiders at New England
with plus 5.5.
I took my Raiders plus 5.5.
That's not a bad pick.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a lot
of good spread.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, I took New England, so it's not a disagreement. So what are we at right now, disagreements wise? My bad to cut you off. 1, 2, 4 disagreements this week. Cleveland, Buffalo, Chicago, and New England. That's 4. Right?
Oh yeah, I forgot to check mark. I was check marking our disagreements.
Yeah.
I forgot to check one.
Yeah. So that's a lot already.
We're not even halfway through.
It's gonna be a good week.
So next game.
Oh wait, we didn't talk about. We were 2-2 last week against each other.
Yeah. So overall, for week 1, we both went 11-5.
Yes.
We disagreed on 4 games, and we split those 4
perfectly too.
2-2.
So we both won a game by 3 points, and we both lost a game by 7 to 8 points. Couldn't be more even, if you ask me.
But we both went 11-5, which is pretty good.
So we're right now we're tied. On the season.
We haven't seen week 2 yet.
Week 2 still a way to come. We'll talk about that next week.
So
let's keep going.
All right. So
San Fran at New York with minus 6.5. That might be the biggest spread in the whole. Yeah, that's the biggest.
There's a couple 6.5.
No, there's 2. There's 2. We got Indy in New York, and then that game.
Yeah.
So I think San Fran's going to go in there and whoop. I think it's going to be a 14-point win.
I took New York in the points. New York plus 6.5.
Yeah, this is a lot of points.
So San Francisco is really banged up.
We disagree.
We don't know about Kittle if he's going to play in week 3. He was already ruled out for week 2. Their game's tomorrow. And their receivers are banged up.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel's on IR. Their rookie first rounder, Brandon Ayuk, is still hurt and not playing. I don't know if he's going to play this week or not. So I'm just looking at who do they have to throw to?
Right.
And
I don't put too much weight.
Are they going to hold Saquon Barkley down?
Yeah, but when you have a team with a stout defense, for me, this is my opinion. I don't put a lot of weight in the skill position, especially at Deebo Samuel.
Well,
they're gonna come out and beat
so they have a stout defense based on last year. Because they're 0-1. They lost to the Cardinals in week 1.
It's just one
Their
week.
Defense didn't look great, though. But that's all I'm saying.
Dude, each
year is a different year.
Look at who they have.
Yeah.
You can't argue that.
Every depth chart is stacked. We've gone over that.
San Fran is a defensively stacked roster. I wish I had it in front of me. San Fran is stacked on defense. You're right. They lost in week 1, but it's the NFL. There was no preseason. Well, just wait. We'll just see. I'm going to take San Fran in that game.
Yeah, I'm not saying that San Fran's not going to win the game, but they're really banged up, so I took the points.
Okay.
So
Philadelphia so we have 5 disagreements already. This is why I wanted to say this. I'm glad we started doing spreads.
Yeah, it makes a big
changes
difference.
Everything. We're just going to disagree all over the place.
Well, straight up with no points, it's hard because there's some games where one team is clearly better than the other. Now it's the NFL and anything can happen on any given Sunday.
Right.
But without the spread, it's a lot.
You can't go off what week 1. If their defense is good or not, you can't.
No, I know, but you can't also go off last year.
I'm looking analytically off who is on the team. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at all the first round picks and all the All Pros that they have.
But you can't also go off last year. Richard Sherman's hurt,
right?
So I don't know if he's going to even be playing. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Philadelphia and Cincinnati. It's at Philadelphia against Cincinnati. Cincinnati. I took Cincinnati.
I took Cincinnati in the points, so we agree there.
Pittsburgh. At home against Houston.
Yep. I took Pittsburgh minus 5.5.
Wow. We have a lot of This is going to be a crazy. One of us is going to be happy next week. The other one's going to be like.
Pittsburgh looks really good so far.
Yeah.
It's still early. Yeah, there's not a lot to go off of, but they look great.
Based off Houston's loss, I think they're going to not only they're going to bounce back, they look good against the Chiefs. They're one of the best teams in the NFL, arguably the best team in the NFL. They didn't get completely crushed.
Yeah.
They could have been better, but it's Deshaun Watson we're talking about. We're talking about an elite team right here that's going to bounce back.
The last 3 years, I've really liked Houston ever since they drafted Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
I'm down on them. I'm down on them this year.
I can't believe the points they gave to Houston.
I can't believe that they traded DeAndre Hopkins. That's what really made me down on them.
But that's whatever.
That's what really changed.
My philosophy of football is skill positions come and go. I look at the nuts and bolts. I look at the lines. I look at the.
But DeAndre Hopkins just whooped on San Fran.
Yeah, he did.
And
he's
won them the game.
He's a great receiver. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's not a factor.
Yeah, and Houston struggled without him. So for what I've seen so far, I loved that connection between Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah. I just really did, and so I've been down on them since they made.
Yeah,
that move.
I think they're going to bounce back. I think there's a lot of points. I took Houston.
Yeah, so that's all right. So next we have New York at Indy. I took Indy minus the points.
So did I.
You took them as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Next, we have Carolina at Los Angeles Chargers.
Yep, I took Carolina with the points.
I took Carolina with the points as
well.
Darn it.
We
can't have every game different.
I know, but that would be so sweet to come in here with all those disagreements. How many we got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 disagreements.
Which is a lot.
Right. I want to have it. Hopefully we have an odd number. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't want to tie again. Ties are boring. We got one of us has to be better.
Well, there's a whole year though.
I know.
So we got so much time.
I'm just shit talking.
I know. Yeah. We got so much time. It's like I'm not too worried about it.
Tampa at Denver.
I took Tampa minus the points.
So did I.
You did.
Yep.
Okay.
Detroit at Arizona.
I took Arizona.
So did I.
Minus 3.5.
Dallas at Seattle at -3.
Who'd you take?
Seattle.
I did too.
We need one more. We just need one more disagreement. Here we go. This is going to be it. Don't look. No, I'm just kidding. You can look.
Green Bay at New Orleans.
I took Green Bay.
Oh,
come on.
That was one of the games I was deciding on. Honestly, my deciding factor was...
The points?
Not only that, but also it's looking like Michael Thomas is going to be out.
Yeah, mine was the points.
So, the points too. I had them evenly matched.
We keep going back to this receivers being out. And I'm not saying you're wrong. But I think, and especially in a situation like New Orleans when they had that defense that's getting picks and fumbles... And then you got behind Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, who is pretty good. I think they're not even going to skip a beat. That's what I think.
Like, I'm not saying just because he's a receiver.
No,
I
know.
Because he's their best player.
He is their best receiver.
He's their best player on their team.
Maybe not their best
Who's their best player?
I'll go somewhere on the defense.
Who?
Maybe. Drew Brees.
Dude, I mean...
Drew Brees.
I love Drew Brees. He's a super accurate quarterback, but he's not. Their best player is Michael Thomas.
Cameron Jordan.
He just shattered the record.
Cameron Jordan might be their best player.
He's a great player, too.
They have a lot of players that they have. It's a good team.
I would say Cameron Jordan and Marshawn Lattimore are their best defensive players.
Here's another argument against Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas is the best player on offense.
Michael Thomas is a great player. I'm not taking anything from him. I also think he's a product of being on an offense with Drew Brees.
I don't know. I mean, he shattered tons of records in college too. Yeah, so I mean, it's not like he just blew up.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
He was.
I just think that the way they play, I think you're not going to see a big drop off with Michael Thomas being out. Yeah. With what they have, but I also do think that they're going to miss him a little bit. There might be some times where a Michael Thomas play would be needed, maybe on a 3rd and long, where they're not going to have that.
Well, here's my whole thing. It was that and the points. I have them evenly matched, so Green Bay's getting 4 points. Also,
I took Green Bay too.
When you look at,
so I'm kind of arguing against myself.
Yeah, so when you look at that, we both took Green Bay. I took the points, but also
I took the points,
without Michael Thomas, now they don't have to double cover any receivers. Now they drop another player in the box to stop Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray.
That's a good point.
Because they're going to be run heavy now without Michael Thomas.
Right.
So now they have a player they're not doubling Traquan. They're probably not doubling Emmanuel Sanders.
No.
So they're going to have an extra player. You have to double cover or bracket Michael Thomas at all times. So it changes how you play against them.
It changes a lot of things.
It completely changes how you play against that team. So that's why I took them. So we both took Green Bay. And then Monday night, which is going to be an awesome game, Kansas City at Baltimore. I took Baltimore as well.
Yeah.
So it's only 2 points. Baltimore's at home. Baltimore and Kansas City. This may be a preview of the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
So far, when I look at the landscape of the NFL,
I'm changing one.
I think Kansas City and Baltimore are the best 2 AFC teams.
I just changed one. Sorry.
Why are you changing them just to change them, though?
Because I was so on the fence with it. And that now I wanted to be an odd amount of games. I'm taking I'm going out of my way to give you a softball. I'm taking the Chargers with -6.
I wouldn't say it's a softball. That's one of the games I skipped over and came back to as well.
Not look good right now. I don't know. They're not that bad.
Well, if Carolina doesn't look good, then you should have picked Los Angeles from the beginning.
Right, but the points. That's a lot of points. But I actually do think Los Angeles is going to win that game.
Yeah. I think
people are hard on Tyrod Taylor that he's a terrible quarterback. He's not.
No, I don't think he's terrible. I think he's an average quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he limits their ceiling.
I think we're going to see.
I think Carolina actually looks better than what I expected.
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen with the Chargers, they're going to go in. They're playing the Chiefs this week. They're going to get crushed, but I think their offense is going to come to life. They're going to stick with them for a little bit, and then as a result of that, they're going to get on a little hot streak after that. That's what I think.
I personally think that they're gonna start the first half of the season. They're gonna have a losing record, and then they're gonna turn to Justin Herbert, and he's their future.
Maybe.
And I think
that's a good point.
I think their offense, even if he makes mistakes early on because he's a rookie, I think their offense will be better with him, with Herbert. Just because he's more of he's not only a drop back passer, but Herbert is actually super athletic. So they can still do all the running stuff and scrambling stuff that they do with Tyrod.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
We have 7 differences.
So we have 7. That's what run this down. Before we get into the Ravens, 7 differences. Chicago, Atlanta, Buffalo, Los Angeles, Cleveland, Washington, New England and Vegas, San Fran at New York, Houston and Pittsburgh, and then Los Angeles versus Carolina. We have 7 games for bragging rights.
And we definitely marked them right.
I marked them. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's not like 8 or 6.
No, it's 7. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see what happens.
So one of us is going to have a winning record next week. That's what I wanted to make sure of. No more ties.
Well, there's not necessarily we're going to tie anyways, though. But it could be 4-2.
A whole season, we just tied.
That would never. I don't think it would happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it could. I guess.
It's possible.
You never know, right? So
we'll make it interesting.
So now we're going to jump into the Baltimore Ravens depth chart and team as a whole.
Might be the best team in the NFL. All the teams that we've shown are solid team. Even the Bills. Yeah. We picked the Bills first because that's our team.
Yeah, and then we did the Raiders.
The Raiders are a great team.
Yeah.
These are all playoff contenders right here.
Yeah.
But you cannot have rundowns of rosters that are playoff contenders without talking about the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team led by an amazing quarterback, veteran running back. A little weak at wide receiver, but not bad either. They have some up and coming young guys.
Yeah, I mean, their receivers as a whole are not great, but they have a great tight end.
Good tight end.
So I mean, their pass catchers, he kind of lifts them up, even though he's not a receiver technically.
Yep. And then their defense, man.
Yeah.
Their
whole team is.
Defense.
You look at their team, it's like wow. Yeah. It's very very good. And like for the receivers, it's not a big deal because they run so much. The receivers need to be better blockers than anything.
Let me just say this though, real quick. When you have Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphreys, and Jimmy Smith as your top 3 corners, look out. How are you going to pass against this team? You can't.
Yeah.
They're not passing. You're not putting up 400 yards against Ravens defense.
And then in the offseason, they traded for Calais Campbell, and they got him dirt cheap.
Do you know how big he is?
I know.
He's
a monster.
6'8". He's 6'8", 300 pounds.
I love him.
And hold on a second. So your first reaction, he's 6'8", 300 pounds. He must be slow. He's not even slow.
He's super fast, super athletic.
One of the best.
Oh yeah, I love Calais Campbell. So I couldn't believe when I heard like what the pick was. I was like, what?
Yeah,
like I would have loved the Raiders to trade for him.
And then he's sitting next to Brandon Williams.
Yeah.
He's sitting next to Brandon Williams, Jihad Ward, and waiting. He's kind of like a switch-in player.
I think instead of just throwing names out there, we should actually go through the
offense,
offense,
what I want to do,
go through the defense, go through the special teams.
Let's go to the offense then.
So at offense, you obviously have Lamar Jackson, reigning MVP at quarterback. Their offensive line, left tackle, you have first-round pick Ronnie Staley.
Yep.
You have left guard Bradley Bozeman. They did take a hit there. Because their left guard and perennial All-Pro for years retired.
Right. They also have DJ Fluker as a swing guard who can come in, and he's a veteran, solid guard.
They got Matt Skura.
So they have depth there. That's what I'm basically getting at.
Tyre Phillips at right guard. Orlando Brown.
Yes.
Orlando Brown at right tackle.
And then they drafted in the 3rd round Tyre Phillips. So you see, with Tyre Phillips and DJ Fluker, you have a stacked deep line.
Well, Tyre Phillips is a starter.
Oh, that's right. He's at right guard.
Yeah, he's a right guard.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a starting guard.
For him to be the swing tackle, that means that's why they have DJ Fluker.
Yeah, he starts at right guard, and they have him listed as a backup for other spots.
He's the swing tackle, But when he comes out, DJ Fluker goes in, and that's how you know it's a multifaceted offensive line.
If the left tackle gets hurt or the right tackle gets hurt in the middle of a game, he would move.
Yeah, and then Fluker would go in.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's the starting right guard.
It's a good line,
and he backs up both tackles.
Yeah.
So but like I said, their guards are a little bit light now. I mean, I don't know if you remember when they had Kelechi Osemele at guard.
Yeah.
And then they had, why am I drawing a blank on his name? He just retired, perennial All-Pro guard. No, he was a guard. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. Let me look it up.
Who was that tackle they had? They made a movie about him. He was on there. He was literally playing for them for like 15 years.
Yeah, where is he?
He was amazing.
Now? He's gone now.
No, that was a long time ago.
You're talking about
Michael
movie.
Michael Orr.
Yeah,
no, Michael Orr was
he
great.
Moved on from team to team after.
No, I know,
after
but
them.
he played for them for like 15 seasons.
Yeah.
He was a starting left tackle, and they was set him, forget him type player.
Yeah. I just want to look this up. It's driving me nuts. I know. I can picture him. I know Marshall Yanda.
Oh,
retired.
Marshall Yanda, one of the greatest of all time. That was a while
missing.
ago.
No, he just retired.
Oh, he just retired?
Yeah, he just retired.
Yeah, he's old. He played for a long time, dude. He's one of the greatest tackles, or one of the greatest guards of all time. Literally.
I know.
He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he literally just retired.
What year did he retire?
He played last year.
He did?
Yes.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. That's a big hole there.
Yeah. No. He's one of the greatest of all time.
So their guards used to be like greatest. Because of him. Like it's like wow, their offensive line is rock solid.
He obviously was old last year because he's been playing forever.
He played for 12, 13 years. So yeah, it's pretty
old.
Is it
really not that? That's it.
2007 to 2019. It says.
Oh.
So, but with him, I'm just like, wow, he was.
Yeah.
all pro.
He was.
He's just a stud.
Isn't that 2 Super Bowls he won?
Yeah, he's just a stud.
So yeah.
So without him, it's like okay, we'll see what happens. Are they going to be able to fill in for him?
Yeah, no, he's that's a huge loss. You're right. You're 100% right.
Then we go to tight end Mark Andrews, great tight end, and then we have at running back Mark Ingram and fullback Patrick Ricard. But I also want to talk about their draft pick, J.K. Dobbins at running back, second round pick out of Ohio State. They didn't really need a running back, but he was definitely the best player on the board, so they jumped on him.
It gives good depth.
Yeah, Dobbins was looked at as one of the end of the first round, beginning of the second round guy. He fell a little bit to the back end of the second round, so they scooped him up, even though they didn't really need him. But I had him coming into this year's draft as the number one running back.
Yeah.
So I had him above Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, it almost looks like you think on a team like that, you think he'd be ready to jump in.
Yeah. So I think he's definitely going to overtake that job.
Yeah, I agree.
But Ingram is a good running back, a good veteran. So I feel like they're not going to just.
It's not going to be quick.
They're just not going to remove him, put Dobbins in, say sorry.
Right. No, he's earned.
So they're gonna. I feel like they're gonna share the job early on, and they're just gonna see how much more talented, more fast, more elusive Dobbins is, and eventually, Ingram will take a back seat
for sure.
So yeah, their offense is good. I mean, we got the receivers too, though. We skipped over. Yeah. We always like to start with the offensive line and the defensive line because in the trenches is really where the games are won.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's my philosophy about football. That's really what I look at when I'm choosing between. I look at receivers and stuff like that, but I'm looking at who's really in the trenches.
I always focus on the lines first.
Yeah.
Offensive line, defensive line. So at receiver they have Miles Boykin, they have Willie Snead, and then they have obviously Marquise Brown, who was a first round pick last year, super fast, Antonio Brown's cousin. And then they have some depth like Chris Moore and some other guys, but their best receiver is definitely Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
And really he's the only one that's noticeable.
Yeah,
the other guys are just kind of other guys.
Willie Snead puts up some numbers,
but they're just kind of like
he's just an average receiver.
Yeah, that's what I call Jag, just another guy. Like they're not bad, they're pros. They're in the NFL, so they must be good. But they're not. They're interchangeable kind of.
They also took third round pick Devin Duvernay.
Yeah, he's
so
good.
He might get something.
Yeah, he's young, so we'll see how he develops. I think they're going to bring him along slowly.
Defense.
So start at the defense.
Defense. Then. Okay, this is just an amazing looking defense right here. Start on the line.
Yep.
Brandon Williams and Calais Campbell in the tackles. Derek Wolfe on the end. They also have Jihad Ward, not listed as a starter, but he's out there. He's getting snaps like crazy. So they do a lot of rotation there. You can see that with Pernell McPhee, but that's just a solid front. So they got 5 good. Justin Ellis is even pretty good too.
Yeah, what's funny is that Justin Ellis and Jihad Ward are both former Raiders.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
They drafted both of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
what round
their
is
depth.
Jihad Ward going? Second. Yeah.
And then Justin Ellis was, I believe, fourth round.
Yeah, good point.
It's either a third or fourth rounder.
Sometimes you see that a lot. You see players go together because like they have like chemistry.
Yeah.
Middle linebacker drafted in the first round, Patrick Queen. We'll see what,
first round pick out of LSU.
He's starting.
Super fast, super talented. A little bit raw. He's not like a polished, finished product.
Then
he's got
they
tons
doubled
of talent.
They doubled down in the third round at the weak side and took Malik Harrison.
Yeah, out of Ohio State.
So let's be real. Matt Judon is amazing. He's been having a great career since 2016.
Yeah, he's listed as a Sam, but he also plays like he'll go up on the fifth man on the line during pass rushing.
Yeah.
downs.
Yeah.
He's kind of a edge player / linebacker.
Well, that's what Jihad Ward and Justin Ellis are waiting to mix as when they switch up their front.
Yep.
That's what you see. But so Matt Judon's a proven player. LJ Fort is also a proven player, but they actually have these rookies starting over them, and that's going to be something to watch because they're rookies, but they're super talented, and they got a lot of talent around them, a lot of older veterans around them. Yeah. That's going to help them out. I like to see. I want to see what happens with those two.
Yeah, both talented players, both from big programs. Malik Harrison comes from Ohio State. Patrick Queen comes from LSU, but they are rookies. Right. So there's probably going to be some growing pains.
Especially
there's probably going to be some mistakes.
A lot of times linebackers come in and struggle a little bit.
It takes a couple of years usually. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they definitely got talent there with those two rookies and Matt Judon, but two of them are rookies. So we'll have to see what happens. It's one of those things where the potential is huge.
Right.
But we just don't know
yet. The best part of their defense, though, maybe not the best. Maybe
their secondary is stacked.
Yeah. I would say the best part of the defense is the secondary. Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, dude. For years, Jimmy Smith has just been one of the most underrated starting. He's not starting now because he's getting older in age, but to come from where he's been on that defense for so many years. I mean, he was there with what's his name, Ray Lewis and all them, and now he's still there, and he's
Jimmy Smith was the first round pick.
Yeah,
years
nickel.
ago.
Now he's in the nickel, and now he's got a little bit easier of a job to do, but he's so talented and he's such a good veteran.
The one thing I will say though is that their safeties are significantly worse than they were in years past.
It's a fact.
So
That's
you have
I'm not even
you have Chuck Clark and Deshaun Elliott. They just released. They like
Deshaun Elliott though. I've heard good things about him. I can't really say myself that I've seen, but from what I've heard and what I read, he's making plays.
Do you remember who their safeties were last year though?
Somebody good. It was I can't remember. No, who is it?
So Earl Thomas, they just cut.
Earl Thomas, yeah, that's right.
So Earl Thomas, they just cut, which was surprising. He got in a fight in practice, but that happens all the time. So it's really strange that they cut him because he's still super talented. I mean, he's older now, but he's still one of the top safeties. So they expected to have Earl Thomas this year.
Right,
and they cut him during camp.
He got in trouble or something, right?
He got in a fight during camp, and they cut him. Yeah. So they were planning on, this season having him at one of the safety spots. And then they lost Eric Weddle in free agency.
Right, Eric Weddle's great.
He went from the Chargers to Baltimore.
Yeah,
and he
they
just
took
left.
A huge.
You look
chop,
you look at Earl Thomas and Weddle from last year, and then you look at these two guys. It's like, whoa.
Weddle's one of the hardest hitting strong safeties in the last 10 years.
So he obviously was for years a Charger.
Yeah,
and
so when he was in the Chargers, he was the.
So my Raiders played against him twice a year, and like a lot, obviously that rivalry. But I always liked Weddle. I always respected him. He's a great player. I have nothing bad to say about the guy. So I mean, they went from having probably one of the best safety duos last year to really young, raw, inexperienced guys.
Yeah.
So if I had to pick out a weakness, but their corners are so strong, their line is so strong. So it's definitely would be their safeties and their linebackers because two of them are rookies. So, but you look at the depth chart of offense and defense, and they have so much talent.
Justin Tucker, kicker.
Yeah, Justin Tucker. He's Mr. Automatic. I mean,
five field goals in one game.
Yeah, he doesn't.
62 yards, I think, is his record.
When he misses, you're like, what the heck?
No, he doesn't. Like, he hits 60-yard field goals.
Yeah, like nothing. So he's, in my opinion, he's the best kicker in the game today.
Yeah.
So, he's pretty much automatic. Yeah. I mean, he might miss one kick a year, two kicks a year.
I forgot about Weddle.
Weddle and Thomas. So that's their one little weakness.
Yeah, that is their weakness for sure.
And then you look at Sam Kosh is their punter, solid punter. and the long snapper Cox Morgan. Nobody ever talks about long snappers. Nobody notices them unless they mess up or unless they get hurt.
Yeah.
But if you get hurt, if your long snapper gets hurt in the middle of the game, they don't keep backup long snappers on the active roster.
No.
So that's when you notice. You're like, wow, now we have to, you never worry about those long snaps until the guy gets hurt in the middle of the game, and then you see these long snaps like bouncing on the ground and over their head, and then it's like, oh, this is an issue. Long snapper is actually important, even though nobody ever thinks about it. Yep. And then for their returners, they have Willie Snead at punt returner, and they have Justice Hill at kick returner, who's also one of their running backs. Yeah. Justin Hill's like their third or fourth string running back. They got a stable of backs. Yeah. Mark Ingram, rookie J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. Yeah. So, I mean, they have talent, they have potential, they have depth at running back. And that's what they do most. I mean, let's be real. Lamar Jackson runs a ton. They run the read option pretty much all games. Yeah. Well, why would you not run the read option and the triple option and, pass run options when the defense has trouble stopping it?
And they got good tight ends that can block too.
Yep. So I mean, it's a very hard offense to stop, and the defense is also very, very stout.
They have the formula. You know what I mean? They have the run, ground and pound, play good defense formula.
Everybody expected them to at least make it to the AFC Championship last year, but the Titans just got so hot at the right time, and they were just a monster.
I didn't expect it either.
They knocked off the Ravens, and then they actually were beating the Chiefs early in that game in the AFC Championship, and then the Chiefs came back. Well, each playoff game the Chiefs were in, they were down pretty big, and they came back in every single one of them.
Right.
So it was kind of weird, and they even did that in the Super Bowl. So it was just their playoff run was just comeback after comeback after comeback. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think that them and the Chiefs are definitely the favorites in the AFC, and it's cool because they actually are playing Monday night, Week 3. So we'll see who gets that. And then now with the new playoff format, you have 3 wild cards. So obviously there's an extra wild card in each conference. We'll see what happens. But kind of a something that people don't think about, because there's 3 wild cards, there's only 1 bye. Only the 1 seed gets the bye. Right. So this Week 3 game before Kansas City and Baltimore is super important because they're both going to want that bye.
I kind of like that because it's like you get the crown and be in the AFC or NFC
Absolutely.
champ. You get the crown, one team gets it. Yeah. I like that.
So I like it too, but now that makes it so much more important when you're playing another team that's another favorite to win, in your conference. Yep. So this game could be the tiebreaker down, at the end of the season for who gets that 1 seed. So
So
you want to wrap it up?
That's just about it.
So. Another great episode. Football is upon us. Thanks, guys, for watching. God bless you, and God bless America.